If you're a teacher, you know the struggle, right? Spending hours, I mean hours, hunting for the right materials just to build one great lesson. But what if AI could be your co-pilot in the classroom? What if it could help you design better lessons and do it faster? Well, a recent study put that exact idea to the test.
And this, right here, this is the heart of the problem, especially for language teachers. You know, the course books, they often just don't cut it. And trying to build a really good listening exercise from the ground up can feel like a massive, draining task. So that brings us to the big question the researchers wanted to answer. Can AI do more than just save us a little bit of time? Could it actually help us create higher quality lessons and, maybe even make us better teachers in the process?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with that lesson prep problem we just talked about. Then we'll look at AI as a new tool and walk through the 5-step research cycle they used. After that, we'll dive into what they found and wrap up with what this all means for AI in the classroom.
Now, this research wasn't just about being more efficient. The real quest here was to see if AI could help create lessons based on a teaching method that is super effective, but let's be honest, it's incredibly time-consuming to prepare for. And that method? It's called task-based language teaching, or TBLT. The idea is simple, but it's really powerful. Instead of just drilling grammar rules, you give students a real, meaningful task to complete using the language. So the whole focus shifts from just knowing the rules to actually using the language to get something done.
So this is what it all boils down to. This was the core research question. Can a teacher, with the help of a really well-designed AI prompt, create top-notch, task-based listening lessons while also cutting down that massive prep time?
So how did they figure this out? Well, it wasn't as simple as just asking an AI to make a lesson. Nope. They used a really smart, structured 5-step research cycle to get from theory to a real classroom.
And here it is, their 5-step cycle. It all starts with the academic stuff, the literature. That research then informs how they design a really smart AI prompt. Next, they test a bunch of different AI tools, create actual lessons, and then, this is the important part, they take them into a real classroom. And that last step, observing and redesigning, that's what makes it a continuous loop of getting better and better.
The secret ingredient here wasn't really the AI itself. It was the prompt. By packing proven principles of language teaching right into the instructions, they were basically teaching the AI how to think like an expert teacher.
Then came the testing phase, and what they found was that no single AI could do the whole job. ChatGPT, for instance, was the absolute best at understanding that complex prompt and spitting out lesson plans and scripts, but to actually create the audio files, they needed a totally different tool, like Cucurella. It just goes to show, this is about building a toolkit, not finding one magic AI to do everything.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. These AI-generated lessons were used in actual English as a foreign language classes. Other teachers came in to observe, they took detailed notes on how engaged the students were, and all that real-world feedback was then used to make the AI prompts even sharper for the next round.
So, after all that work, what did they actually find? Let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of using AI as a classroom co-pilot.
Get this, the AI-generated lessons pretty much won across the board. Because they were built around these meaningful tasks instead of just generic exercises, students got way more vocabulary exposure and a lot more actual listening practice. And the result of that? Students weren't just sitting there passively listening. They were active, they were engaged, they were using the language.
And this wasn't just a win on paper. You could literally see the difference in the classroom. The teachers observing these lessons pointed to excellent student involvement. That's a huge sign that these lessons weren't just well-designed, they were genuinely interesting for the students.
But, and this is a really big but, it's not a perfect system. The study was very clear about the downsides. AI makes mistakes, sometimes weird ones, which means teachers still have to spend time checking and correcting everything. On top of that, the best tools, they're often not free, and that cost could create a bigger gap between schools that can afford them and those that can't.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway for teachers here? How should we even start to think about bringing these powerful but imperfect tools into our daily work?
If you remember one thing, please let it be this. We absolutely have to understand that AI, just like a human assistant, makes mistakes. Its output always has to be checked. A teacher's professional judgment and critical eye are more important now than ever before.
What's really happening here is that the job description for a teacher is changing. You're shifting from being a creator of content from scratch to being a curator of content that the AI generates.
Your new role is less about writing the script and more about being the expert director, the editor, and the fact checker who makes sure the final product is perfect for your students.
And that leaves us with this massive question. AI really does have the potential to be the ultimate teaching assistant, but it also carries a very real risk of creating a new kind of digital divide. So the question isn't if this technology will change education, it's how we're going to guide that change to make sure it benefits everyone.